Scattered across the world are airports that most of us are never gonna get to see. Exclusive facilities built specifically for the world elite. From secret government airstrips to private luxury terminals, these hidden airports offer unmatched privacy and convenience for VIPs. Here's 15 amazing hidden airports built for VIPs. Starting with number 15, the Cannes International Film Festival attracts thousands of people every year. Most get there by flying into the nearby city of Nice. But if you're a celeb with a private jet, you can instead opt for the Cannes Mandelo Airport. It's open only to private air traffic. This airport provides luxury services to those who visit, with this including road and air travel to nearby resort towns and ski resorts, and spaces for the business meetings and events. Number 14, the Jetex Terminal in Dubai. So when it comes to luxury, you can't get much better than the Jetex Terminal in Airport Terminal number 3. So while Geneva Airport is pretty large and busy, things get a bit quieter at the Terminal 3. That's because this terminal is a hub for private charter jet companies. Also known as fixed-based operators, there are a total of 5 at the airport, and they offer an array of services such as VIP lounges, private immigration, and customs screening. This in turn makes this airport a favorite of diplomats and executives looking to take advantage of all that Switzerland has to offer. Number 12, Gstaad-Sonnен. The Swiss Alps. It's known for its ski culture, of course, and Gstaad-Sonnen is a favorite of those looking to access the region's best resorts. The airport traces its history back to World War II, where it first served as the strip of grass for military planes. Well, in years since, the airport's undergone a number of changes and has evolved from a military base to an airport that's now completely private. It offers everything from aircraft maintenance to heliski services, making it the perfect pit stop for the ultra-wealthy. As a result, the airport scrapped the entrance idea just one day before it was set to open. Good, let them walk in like everybody else. Number 10, Teterboro Airport. While most people visiting New York come in and out of LaGuardia Airport, Teterboro Airport is reserved for those with some deep pockets. That's because Teterboro doesn't accept any commercial air traffic. Instead, all of its resources are dedicated to private and business aviation. It didn't always used to be that way. When Teterboro Airport opened in 1917, it was the only airport in the area. In its day, it served many purposes. At first, it was an aircraft manufacturing center, and later it served as a base of operations for an aircraft designer. Once World War II came around, though, it was used by the U.S. Air Force, and in the post-war period, it served several commercial airlines. This commercial service, though, came to an end in 1977. In that year, aircraft heavier than 45 metric tons were banned from taking off from Teterboro, essentially shutting services, making it easy for the wealthy and powerful to fly in and out of the city. However, the airport itself also offers some interesting services. Perhaps the most useful are private jet rentals. Offering jets of all sizes, this service ensures that you and your people can enjoy the luxury of one of these jets without having the burden of owning and maintaining one. In addition to these rentals, the airport also has air cargo services and air ambulances on site. So no matter what your needs are, I think I'm pretty confident that Teterboro will effectively meet all of them. Number 9, Fatal VIP Terminal. So, if you've ever been to Jerusalem, then you know that Ben Gurion International Airport can be a nightmare to get through. It's infamous for its long lines, and it can often take hours to clear security. However, Fatal VIP Terminal makes a lot of that stress a thing of the past. Launched in 2019, this private terminal cuts wait times by upwards of 1 hour. Now, if you're an arriving passenger, the services provides limousine culinary offerings at the terminal, which are overseen by top-tier chefs Michael Levy El-Halal and Sonia Cohen, are prepared on site. The dishes that the team makes here are nothing short of incredible and include challah French toast, asparagus and smoked salmon, and various other sandwiches. Well, if you're in the mood to shop, this terminal also has 2 premium duty-free shops filled with luxury goods. And if shopping doesn't fit your fancy, you can instead access facilities such as a conference room for meetings, a dedicated cigar room for smoking, and for the more health-conscious, a small fitness room where you can squeeze in a workout. If you're looking for a bit more privacy, though, you can instead opt to use one of the terminal's spacious private rooms. These rooms have amenities such as plush double beds, TVs, private bathrooms, and butler services, allowing you to shower and relax in style before takeoff. Now, the basic lounge service here starts at a price point between $260 and $490, depending on the number of guests. If you're looking for a private room, you'll have to shell out about $575 per person in the first-class terminal. That's because this private a la carte terminal allows you to move through the airport without having to really interact with anybody. The incredible treatment begins the moment you walk through the front doors of the terminal. As you enter, a personal assistant waits for you in the reception area, ready to take care of all your travel formalities swiftly and discreetly. Once everything is sorted, the assistant will then accompany you through security and take care of the check-in procedure for you. If you need some time to rest and unwind, you can enjoy one of 2 quiet rooms with day beds, 4 shower rooms, and a cigar lounge. If you've worked up an appetite, you can visit the wining and dining area. It's here that you can order a la carte cuisine, with the offerings including a bar that showcases over 130 different whiskeys. Yummy! And conveniently, if you're a busy business person who's on the go dealing with business, you can work in one of the terminal's discrete environments, which include 5 separate office units with complimentary services, Wi-Fi, phone connections, and even a fax machine. On the surface, use the terminal for any same-day departing flight on Lufthansa, Swiss, or Austrian, whether it's first class or not. Another smart workaround is to make use of the pass system. More specifically, first-class travelers are welcome to bring a traveling companion with them, so long as they're booked on the same departure flight. The kicker is that person doesn't need to have a first-class ticket. They can fly in economy and still access the lounge so long as you bring them in with you. That exception applies to life partners, spouses, and children under 18, making it a great way to bring more people into the lounge at a way cheaper rate. Moving on to number 7. Paris Le Bourget Airport. For many years, Paris Le Bourget Airport was the one-stop shop for air travel to Paris. Built in 1919, it was the city's only airport until the construction of Orly Airport in 1936, and in many ways it was incredibly exclusive. After all, at this point in time, commercial flights were reserved for the ultra-wealthy, making Paris Le Bourget a perfect hub for Paris's as a death knell. And in 1977, Le Bourget was closed to international airline traffic, and in 1980, it was closed to regional airline traffic. Well, this didn't end all flights though, because despite the closure to commercial airline traffic, the airport began to open its doors exclusively to private airplanes, making it the hub for the ultra-wealthy that it had been in its early years. It also began to upgrade its facilities. For example, since 1975, it's hosted France's National Air and Space Museum, and it now has multiple buildings to accommodate flight needs. This build-up has made it a fixture for some special events. After all, every 2 years it hosts the Paris Air Show. It is worth mentioning, though, that there hasn't always been smooth sailing, or should I say smooth flying, to and from the airport. That's because despite being relatively safe, the fact that it caters to private aircraft rather than commercial aircraft has led to the old airport having a fair number of accidents over the years. These include the 1973 Paris Air Show incident, where a Soviet Tupolev Tu-144 crashed flying in first or business class with any airline at the airport. Now, while this makes it pretty easy to qualify for, the service isn't cheap. At a price tag of around $4,000 for the full 3-person package, you'll have to shell out quite a bit to get a spot. However, to the ultra-wealthy, the service is worth it. For arriving flights, guests are greeted directly at the aircraft, either on the air bridge or at the foot of the steps, and transported to the VIP suite in a private chauffeur-driven car. The baggage team handles luggage, immigration, and customs procedures. They're swiftly managed, and the guest is then free to go, skipping virtually all airport wait times in the process. For departures, the traveler is met at a pre-arranged location and transferred directly to the airport in a luxury vehicle. Upon arrival, guests are escorted to the private suite, where check-in, baggage handling, and immigration are all taken care of, and when it's time to board, a chauffeur transports them directly to the aircraft, ensuring a comfortable boarding experience. Now, all this begs the question, what exactly do you get inside one of these departure suites, making the process pretty seamless? However, even though the service is incredibly top tier, you'll have to give the airport some time to deliver. Heathrow recommends that you arrive 90 minutes before their flight, as this should, in theory, give you about 60 minutes to enjoy the lounge. And no matter how much time you spend here, I'm sure that Heathrow VIP will not disappoint. Number 5. LA's Private Suite. Los Angeles is a hotbed for actors, singers, and anyone and everyone in entertainment. It's because of this that anyone who is anyone flies in and out of Los Angeles International Airport with the help of the LA Private Suite. For departing flights, the process works as follows. First, you drive to an unmarked, unnamed warehouse outside the airport. Once you arrive, the security team takes pictures of your ID, your bags, and car, and at that point you're led to a private suite. Rather than focus on opulence, though, the idea of the suite is to make you as comfortable as possible. To that end, it looks like a fancy condo. Slightly less costly option is an elevated social space for solo travelers or small groups where upper-crust travelers can mingle and enjoy a lounge with a full bar, expansive outdoor garden, and complimentary top-shelf food and drinks, pre- or post-flight. Once it's time for you to board your flight, Private Suite ensures that things go smoothly. You first go through an expedited TSA process. After all, despite there only being a few people at a Private Suite, there are a team of TSA officers that are there to make the process quick. Now, while all this service may sound incredible, it's worth noting that it comes in at a hefty price. If you're a non-member, you pay $1,100 per person for the salon and $4,800 for the suite, with this including a complement of up to 4 travelers. However, for frequent travelers, a membership can unlock some savings. If you pay $1,250 a year for the salon membership, your salon rate gets cut down to just $850, representing a 22% discount. Hey, that's nice. You also get complimentary extras, 2 days of free parking, and priority booking. And if you go to top it, more luxury. Exclusively open to business and private jet travel, it's a long and storied history here. Constructed back in 1908, it was first used as a center for military and aviation research. It's controlled by the British Ministry of Defense for both World Wars and 40 years of the Cold War. It was used exclusively for military purposes until 1989. Then, in 1991, the Ministry of Defense claimed that the airfield was surplus to military requirements, and in 94 the decision was made to redevelop it into a business airport. This led to a competitive tendering process by the government, and once all was said and done, TAG Aviation won out. They soon got to work redeveloping the site, and in 2003, a 99-year lease was established and TAG took over. Travelers arriving here at Farnborough are greeted with a level of comfort and sophistication rarely seen in airports. The terminal feels more like an exclusive club with private lounges, quiet meeting rooms, and above all, the Sky Lounge. Well, for the unacquainted, a pet travel support team that ensures animals get in and out without too much of a hassle. The airport is equipped to handle jets of all sizes with 24/7 operations, ensuring some flexibility for travelers. The airport can also support you on your journey after you land. That's because they offer discreet transfers via luxury vehicles or helicopters, ensuring a smooth connection to both London and other destinations. It's also worth mentioning that if you want to visit but don't have a private jet, well, you're in luck. That's because every 2 years the airport hosts the Farnborough International Air Show. Hosting over 100,000 visitors every time it runs, its scale is huge. During the latest one in July of 2024, it hosted 1,500 exhibitors from over 60 countries, all of whom showed 90 civil and military aircraft. This not only makes the show an incredible place for aviation enthusiasts, but it also maintains a link between Farnborough's past life as a research center and current life as a hub for high-class air travelers. Number 3. Courchevel Altaport. So, out of a ski resort, for those of you who are not in the know, Courchevel is a favorite resort of the ultra-rich. After all, it's covered in 5-star hotels and has been known to be a vacation destination for much of Europe's royalty. And while this high-altitude resort may be world-class, it's also incredibly dangerous to get to. Considered to be the 7th most dangerous airport in the world by the History Channel program Most Extreme Airports, it is beset on all sides by hills. When combined with its tiny approach, it's one of the few airports in the world that has a no-go-around procedure. Yet, no matter how small your aircraft is, it takes a lot of skill to land here. After all, the runway has no instrument approach procedure and no lighting aids, making landing in fog or low clouds unsafe and, quite frankly, almost impossible. It's largely thanks to a shift that Courchevel has also oriented its facilities to be more suitable for private carriers. The airport now includes a 10-space hangar, a single fire truck, yay, a tractor for aircraft towing, and a refueling station. Some have been a little less serious. In February of 2019, a plane crashed into a wall of snow after the pilot throttled back too late on landing, leading to 2 minor injuries. Even as recently as February of 2024, a plane crashed on landing as the aircraft overran onto a snow-covered embankment and had one of its wings torn off. This all means that while Courchevel may be a dream destination for many, a trip here is not without risk. Number 2. Joint Base Andrews. Most of us are never going to get to step foot in Joint Base Andrews. However, if you happen to be a major diplomat or maybe the President of the United States, you may get the opportunity to fly in and out of this incredible Air Force base. Joint Base Andrews has been around for a while. As far back as the Civil War, Union soldiers used a countryside church in the area as sleeping quarters, and in August of 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt decided to commission the land for use as an airfield. In September of '42, it was designated as Camp Spence Joint Services Open House, and every year it now brings in more than 700,000 people. However, it was in 1961 that things were really shaken up. That's because it was in this year that all of the military air transport services flying units were transferred over to Andrews. Then in July of 1961, the official presidential aircraft, which is known as Air Force One, was stationed there. Before '61, the presidential airplane had to be kept elsewhere, but it was thanks to this change that Andrews became firmly established as the main port of entry for foreign military and government officials en route to Washington and the United States. Yet, despite its status, it's worth mentioning that Joint Base Andrews is not completely impregnable. That's because in March of 2021, the airbase made headlines when an intruder managed to breach its walls. According to the Air Force's records, after driving through the Virginia Gate at Andrews, a man drove to the base exchange. Here, surveillance camera footage later showed he spent about an hour inside before returning to his car. His whereabouts for the next 4 hours could not be determined. At this point, he walked back down towards the security gate, at which point he was stopped and arrested. When asked about his motivations during questioning, he simply said that he wanted to see airplanes. Well, you'd think that that incident would be enough to convince the Air Force to beef up security, yet in March of 2022, two people in a stolen vehicle drove through a checkpoint shortly before Vice President Kamala Harris arrived there. Then, about a year later, on February of 2023, another intruder managed to make it inside, where he got unauthorized access to a housing unit. So, while Joint Base Andrews may be trusted with a lot of important planes, it isn't quite as safe as the Air Force makes it out to be. Number 1. London Biggin Hill Airport. London is a top destination for business and private air travel, and Biggin Hill Airport plays an important role in facilitating to this clientele. Yet in the past, London Biggin Hill was not used by millionaires and socialites, but by soldiers. In 1916, the airport was created. In an alternate history, perhaps they would have succeeded. However, Biggin Hill prevented that from happening by housing British warplanes such as Spitfires and Hurricanes. The Brits were able to successfully defend against the German attacks. As you might imagine, this made Biggin Hill public enemy number 1 in the eyes of the Germans. After all, once the Battle of Britain was over, the Germans continued to target Biggin Hill, bombing it 12 times between 1940 and 41. Despite the damage, though, Biggin Hill stayed operational throughout the war, and in total, its pilots brought down about 1,400 enemy aircraft. Even after the war was over, Biggin Hill continued to serve a military purpose. It became the center for the Royal Air Force Transport Command, and later became a base for both regular and reserve fighter squadrons. And in 1958, Biggin Hill ceased to be an operational Air Force station, instead becoming the Royal Air Force Officer and Aircrew Selection Center. However, it soon became apparent that London needed another airport, and in 1959, Biggin Hill became a joint civilian and military airport. From this point forward, This airport also excels in customer-focused offerings such as customized in-flight catering, excellent hang garage services, and a full range of aircraft detailing services that include interior and exterior cleaning. However, if you don't have all the money to shuttle yourself about in a private jet, you can still visit Biggin Hill. That's because the airport is the site of the St. George's Royal Air Force Chapel of Remembrance. This chapel, which features full-size replicas of a Spitfire and Hurricane at its entrance, pays tribute to the 453 aircrew who gave their lives after taking off from Biggin Hill during the Second World War. This chapel is supplemented by the Biggin Hill Memorial Museum next door, which tells you stories of those who served there, with exhibits, personal accounts, and educational programs. As you might imagine, both of these are open to the public, allowing anyone to enjoy the airport grounds. Thanks for staying with me, guys. I'll see you next time. Thank you to our channel members.